Previously on Druthers Brothers. Cameron, so much has happened since we did one of these things, and I just refuse to let it go. What are you eating? You're just eating stuff off of the chair. No big deal. So yeah, Raina and I got married this past September, and I was not somebody who cared too much about what my wedding looked like as a younger person. It just wasn't something that I thought about. But dang, this wedding was tight. It basically was like the perfect wedding. I couldn't possibly have imagined an even better wedding. It was beautiful. My wife was beautiful. The family was beautiful. All the families coming together, just seeing different people in different parts of your life intersect with one another. It was a really surreal experience. And of course, you gave a barn burner of a speech. Your best man speech was funny and insightful and poignant, and I hated every damn emotionally honest moment of it. How the hell am I supposed to top that? I mean, I guess I could literally burn down a barn, but I'm not really sure how that would play into the overall narrative of the best man speech. Cameron, do you remember the show The Wonder Years? I've been watching episodes of it recently. For the unacquainted, I'll give the TLDR. So The Wonder Years is a coming-of-age story. It was set in the late 60s and early 70s. It was filmed in the late 80s, early 90s. It starred Fred Savage as like a little kid. It basically followed him from when he was like 12 to 18. Now, I remember why I liked watching it as a kid. I was like a little bit younger than Kevin's character, so it felt like a peek into like the immediate future, right? Learning about schools and girls and death and parents and life and all that stuff. It's really only possible when you're uninitiated to the whole concept of like adulting, right? Now, obviously, the internet has changed a lot of that significantly, but, you know, a lot of it's still the same. I mean, the key concepts are the same. You, like, don't know about a thing, you're curious, you ask questions, you find out about it, and you're kind of, like, changed forever, right? The most recent episode that I watched was about Kevin's dad, Jack. It basically follows him, like, going to work, coming home, being super miserable, watching TV, not really wanting to talk. He's just, like, blatantly unhappy, and on extra super bad days, he goes out into the front yard and he pulls out the telescope and he looks up into the night sky and he marvels at like the stars, right? There's this like sort of mysticism shrouded around the character of the dad because Kevin is like learning about who his dad is and what his life is and everything like that, and like that concept seemed really familiar to me. Like I remember being younger and like thinking about like what did dad do when he went to work, you know? Like that was such a weird concept. Like I'm worried about going to school and, you know, going to PE or whatever, and, you know, I have no idea what dad's doing when he comes home. There's this sense of, like, mystery that surrounds the whole concept. Eventually, we learned that when Jack was younger, he wanted to be the captain of a ship. He imagined himself sailing in the middle of the night, looking up at the stars and trying to navigate by way of constellations. But instead, he ends up working as a manager for some distribution company. Now, as a teenager, I would have looked at that and thought, man, that's terrible. That guy hates his life. He goes to a job he can't stand. He comes home. He's miserable. He's unhappy. There's, like, no happiness in his life, clearly. And that's definitely part of the message that the show tries to get across. But there is this moment where Jack is mentioning how life kind of just goes on with or without you, really. Like, you know, life happens, and the best thing that we can do is really just learn to live with the decisions that we've made for ourselves. I think one of the hard parts about being an adult is reconciling with the decisions that we make when we're younger and how those things impact our lives when we're older, especially when a lot of those decisions are kind of out of our control. Like, you know, did you grow up rich? Did you grow up poor? Like, who were your parents? What did your parents do? How much access to your parents' free time did you have? Were they working constantly? Were your parents' working constantly? Like, did your parents' have the opportunity to shape them into better people? And did your parents have the opportunity to shape you into better people? Like, how do all of these seemingly insignificant things play into the larger narrative of our lives? And also, how does that play into the larger narrative of our own happiness, you know? There doesn't seem to be a concrete answer here. If anything, it seems to just offer more questions. Like, instead of turtles all the way down, it's just questions all the way down. Anyway, Cameron, I'm glad I got this posted. It feels really important to keep moving on. I'm sorry that this video is kind of a bit of a ramble. I just kind of wanted to stretch the muscles again for doing one of these vloggy videos. But it feels important. It feels therapeutic. I'm going to keep doing it. Cameron, I love you.